The question it was that now I will need to leave and I have to go on another conference, and then I will need to come back when it is my presentation time. So will it be again the problem to turn on the camera or no?
No problem. Somebody just started the broadcast.
Alexander, I agree with you. We can start. And as you are the organizer of this final conference, I would like kindly ask you to make a very short introduction with the agenda or whatever else would you like to say, and then start with our presentations.
Okay, thank you. Good morning to everybody. My name is Alexander Filipovsky from the Youth Entrepreneurial Service Foundation, one of the partner organizations in the project Balkan Mediterranean Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, or in short, BalkanMed INNOVA. This is a project that has started way back in 2017, and now we're very near the very end of it. And these 2 days, we're going to organize this virtual final conference. It was planned to be physically here in Skopje, but as you all know, it is impossible to have this conference organized physically as we initially planned. So just in short, today we're going to go through very briefly to the results of the project. The coordinator of this project, the University of Ioannina, will present the results and deliverables of this now 3-year-old project. And then we're going to have a couple of interactive panel discussions on a topic related to entrepreneurship, innovation, internationalization of startups. And now we invite you all to listen and to interact with us and to share your experience and thoughts on the topic that we are going to discuss. As you probably all know or have participated in some similar conference, just some technical elements. I suggest that we all should be on mute when the panelists will have its presentation. And afterwards, if you would like to ask something, just please write down on chat, and we will discuss it further on. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Professor Stilios, who has been the coordinator of this project, to address you and to have his presentation regarding the results and the accomplishments that we had achieved over these past 3 years. Professor Stilios.
Alexander, thank you very much. Thank you for this collaboration all the previous years that we had. I'm sharing my presentation. I hope that you will see it. Actually, I'm going to make a short overview of the project, of these activities that we have for more than 2 years. And present the main results, and also what is the most important for us is the fact that we had a great collaboration in the BalkanMed area in our countries, starting from Greece, who was the lead partner, continue with Bulgaria, North Macedonia, Albania, Cyprus, and with a great partnership, a partnership with different partners, either from university and research institute, like the ones from Greece and Ioannina and Cyprus University of Technology, but also some the other three partners were in this journey partners related to entrepreneurship, like the YES from North Macedonia, or the Rural Association for Development, Sustainable Development from Albania, and the Center of Innovation Development from North Aegean region. So we had a great team and a great collaboration all these years. Our project, it was structured in the core business in three main work packages. Work package 3, which is about network services and survey on our area, so that to investigate what are the needs of our region, of our countries, concerning to prepare the courses, and finally to provide the tools, the methodologies, the right knowledge to the entrepreneurs, or to existing entrepreneurs, or to young entrepreneurs that would like to be entrepreneurs. In Work Package 3, it was a package where we have to investigate the linkage between education and business. What research institute, what universities are able to present as new knowledge, and on the other hand, what are the needs of the regional at the regional level, and how this could be used in the Core Package 4, where in the Core Package 4 we design and develop the BalkanMed INNOVA School, which it is a web-based school that it is very useful in our days with the pandemic one, with COVID-19, and where the majority of activities, training activities, are done from distance. And finally, in Work Package 5, we have the outcome of these training courses, or the outcome of this training journey. I'm talking about journey because it is a period not only in the web classes, but also with webinars and so on. In Work Package 5, we have the implementation of the innovative ideas and the creation of startups. I'm going to present in details the result of our project. We have in Work Package 1, we have a great collaboration, a lot of discussion, a lot of meetings, Skype meetings, physical meetings. All of us, we had the opportunity to visit all the other countries, all the other partners. Unfortunately, we missed Skopje, but I hope that next year, beyond this project, we have the opportunity to visit Skopje, or in a new initiative, other BalkanMed, or another one initiative. The communication, in the project communication dissemination, of course, we developed the website. We used a lot of the social media, all the social media, in order to disseminate and to increase the awareness about our project to our stakeholders, because we were here working and developing courses, tools, methodologies in order to serve our regional stakeholders, our community. So we used all the social media like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter to present and to disseminate the information of the project. We published 4 newsletters and a lot of press release in English, and all partners present and disseminate press release that were published in local newspapers and in local media about the project activities. And of course, we have also presentation in TV stations and radio. And we also create a lot list with mailing list, with information, with the different target groups and stakeholders. So it is another. We have now a repository about our project, and this is the most one of the useful results. A lot of dissemination activities all over the BalkanMed area, and starting from the early beginning with the launching event, when we announced our project in our regions, when we present it in our cities and what will be our plans. And then we moved to work package 3, where in the work package 3, we had to study the training needs. It was a work package led by the Cyprus University of Technology, where they present a methodology, a scientific methodology about the procedures and the criteria, how to select and reach the target groups, how to motivate the stakeholders, and to have an impact interaction from them about their needs. And also we organized benchmarking workshop. Every partner in each one region organized a corresponding benchmarking workshop, where we had the opportunity to discuss face-to-face with all the interested parties about their needs, what they would like to learn, what as universities and research institutes were able to offer to them, what are the new trends on technology, the new advances on discipline fields, and based to this, to discuss and create at the end the curriculum on in the training curriculum. Based on this, Cyprus University of Technology collect the regional reports, the minutes, the discussions from the benchmarking workshop, and has already produced a synthetic report that includes a comparison with the results of the analysis, and give some conclusions, interesting conclusions that are very useful for strategic development of the new programming period, And also, based to this synthetic report, we have developed the courses, the content of the courses in work package 4. Actually, we organized, we present our activities, we call for participants, we call our stakeholders, we organized a great dissemination activity in order to attract the interest from stakeholders, from individuals, who would like to be trained in the 4 main sectors, which is ICT, agribusiness, energy, environment, and tourism and culture. Because from the very beginning, we have identified that these four sectors are the most important for our regions that could be help and will be support the growth of our regions. And of course, we have another horizontal one sector, which is the entrepreneurship culture and business ethics. So based to these four main sectors and the horizontal one, we invite participants to join our project, to present their interest, and for this reason we used a lot of dissemination activities with posts in social media and press release and so on. And after this period, we finally have and collect and we reach, and for this point I would like to thank, I reach our target, our indicators. Either we have more participants than the one mentioned, and right now we have more than 700 people who participate in our activities, who join our courses and learn on the four sectors and the new trends, the new advances for the four sectors and the horizontal one, the entrepreneurship sector. So we achieved the number of 780 registrations from all the participating countries. And in this work package, we all remember that we organized a training course for the trainees, so that it was a transnational training, took place in Sofia, Bulgaria, and where the ones who were supposed to train the young ones have been discussed about the methodology and how they could train and organize the material. Based on this, we had then the BalkanMed INNOVA school in operation. We described the school curriculum, a curriculum where we identified based to the identified needs on the that we had already done in work package 3, in the work package 3, and the curriculum described with the support of LORIS, an organization who works on the specific, who is expert on the specific theme, and based to this, we have the description of the module, have the video cases, and we also describe every module. We have every module. It is consisted from quiz, from video, material that participants, attendants have to study. We developed and we had a special web school platform developed by the University of Ioannina based to Moodle. In this web school, actually it is there are included various tools. It supports both synchronous and asynchronous e-learning. It is possible to be accessible by all devices, either smart mobiles, PCs, tablets, and so on. Very friendly useful training environment. And also we had the big blue button, the video conference tool that also was very useful for the webinars. We had the forum, the live chat, and of course the file repository. This was the main services provided by the web school, and for the trainers, it was possible to upload data, upload their assignments, their quiz, and for the trainees to attend the video lectures, the online learning material, and to submit their assessments. Also, we produce manuals, and both for the trainers and the trainees. And one of the most important outcomes are the modules. We describe for every one sector at least at least 4 modules. You are able to see the different modules for every one of the 4 sectors. Also, for the 4 sectors, that means energy and environment, agribusiness, culture, tourism and heritage, ICT for SMEs, and for the horizontal one sector, the entrepreneurship, culture, and business. All the modules are consisting from video, from textbook, from quiz, and they represent the trends of this period and what is necessary for a new businessman, for a new graduate, someone who has graduated, to receive some specialization, so that to be able to run your own business. I'm not going to present any one of this module, but all this information, and this is the most important, all these videos are available either now for anyone interested to log in the system and to attend the courses and make his self-assessment. So the ones who participate have received the certificate of attendance, and we provide them this certification. And beyond this, we organized the virtual classrooms. We organized about more than 20 webinars, focused webinars in different themes, like digital transformation, open innovation, global energy business, and so on. And all of these, they were attended by entrepreneurs, by staff of SMEs, so that in a very short time of 1 hour, to have the possibility to see what are the latest developments, and to be able to discuss with other ones about these key issues. This material has been recorded, and probably if anyone is interested on this, could be asked, and will be able to provide to him the video recordings. And then we have work package 5. Work package 5, it is about the innovative ideas. What it was our journey. We start identifying the needs and what universities and research institutes could offer to the young ones. This was in Work Package 3. In Work Package 4, we develop the learning material and we deliver the training courses. And now, in Work Package 5, is the time that what the participants learn to be developed, to be transformed in innovative ideas, in business plan. So in this work package, we support the ones who succeeded on the courses, and they had also the interest to become entrepreneurs, to develop and submit their business ideas. We evaluate them, our committees, and then we had the 10 most important business ideas per partners who received the highest evaluation score to be developed in business plan and during a period of e-tutoring and e-mentoring. And during this, after that, we had per partner 10 business plan, and all these 10 business plan are being evaluated by committee. So at the end, we have the finalist that received the awards and the grants from every partner. We have 24 finalists who are going to transform their business plan in a real startup, and our project is going to support them in this procedure. And tomorrow we will have the opportunity to hear from them, to hear their business idea and their business plan that are going to be established as startup companies. And this is the most important outcome of this, that we make some of our participants, some of our young who attended the course at the end to establish their own business. We are going to support on this establishment. So it is something that we have a materialized outcome of our project. That means the most important outcomes of our project are the startup companies that are going to be established in our regions, and of course the material, the electronic material that it is available, which is available on our web school, and will continue to be offered to the our citizens, to the European citizens, if they would like to further continue and their training. So I would like to thank, first of all, the partnership, all the people, all the staff from all the partners who participate to this journey, to this almost 3 years journey on implementing BalkanMed INNOVA project. And I'm very and congratulate them for a successful project that we accomplished all together, supporting and contributing to our region in the growth of our region. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Stilios. If there are no questions, I would like to invite Mary to start the first panel presentation for today, Tourism in Post-COVID-19 Era, Prospects and Key Challenges. Mary, please, you can start your presentation.
Hello to everyone. Just give me, please, one moment in order to try to share my screen.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
I don't know what you see now.
Yes, we see your presentation.
Is this that we see? You see what you see?
Yes, yes, you can start.
Okay. So, dear Professor Stilios, dear each and everyone here today with us, my name is Mary Konstantoglou. I'm the director of Veloris SA, which is a company situated in Lesbos in North Aegean Island, Greece. The company is working on research, development and education issues in the North Aegean Islands for a quarter of the century now. That means for 25 years. So first of all, I would like to say that it was a great honor for me and for the company I represent to meet you, to work with you those last years in this project. And I hope and I wish for many more projects and synergies to come in the near future. So I would like, as my field, as you know, my field of expertise is tourism, so I would like to make a short presentation about tourism or the new era of tourism after the pandemic. So what we are facing now is an unpredictable global health, social and economic emergency situation. But what we know is the travel and tourism industry is among of those that are most affected with the airlines together. Airlines are grounded for months, and hotels are closed, and travel restrictions, they are very, very strict through the world. So this presentation attempts to give a better understanding on the impacts of the pandemic at the global level, at the European level, and give you some insights about what tourism experts believe that will be the future. So here is what we stand for today. This is data that I got yesterday from our world in data, which is how many COVID cases we have on a daily basis. And as you can see, the European Union stands very, very high among the countries of the world. But also France is very high, UK is very high, Turkey, Germany, Portugal, we are a bit, Greece is a bit in the middle, and so on. Greece a bit in the middle with Macedonia and Bulgaria and Norway, but it's still very high. So what we believe and what the World Tourism Organization says is that we have travel restrictions in almost 96% of the worldwide countries, destinations. We have more than 90 destinations that have completely or partially closed their borders, and that is what we think that we will have in a few months from now, as we are facing the second wave of the pandemic. And this is how gradually on maps how the pandemic started on the 9th of March. What you see in blue is countries that they have closed their borders, and until the 6th of April we have most of them with closed borders. The situation now is a bit better, but let's see what will happen in the next month. What we know is that in tourism we cannot predict what will happen next day or the next month, something that is happening first time in our history. So I'm extremely sorry for this. Let me close it in a way. Just a moment, I'm closing. Oops, I'm sorry. So World Tourism Organization estimates that has estimated that we will have like a 30% of decline of the industry in 2020, and we would be like 7 years ago according to what we are aiming from. But that was not the scenario that actually happened, because the decline was much bigger than we thought that it would be. But then again, I have to refer here that tourism is a very strong and resilient industry. People will travel, and we will never stop traveling. This is a diagram showing how tourism reacted in a similar crisis before some years. So this is how tourism has reacted during SARS. So what we have is that we almost needed 5 months to overcome the SARS crisis. This is the crisis that lasted for 6 months, and this is the September 11th situation. And here is what we are facing today with the global, that is the global economic crisis back in 2010. But this is the pandemic that we are in. We haven't have something similar back in the past, so we don't know what will happen. And this is the same diagram. That says that was the decline in tourism industry in 2001 in September 11th attacks. This was like minus 0.4 for the SARS pandemic back in 2003, and this is what the global economic crisis has cost to tourism, minus 4% globally. And this is what was the estimation of the world of WTO about the COVID-19 result on tourism. And this is the scenario we believe that we will have, like that we will come back in the numbers almost of 2000 according to traveling. And here is the loss we have. This is each country and the share of the world tourism arrivals, and the tourism share on exports, and the share of world tourism receipts, and the expenditure that we have. This is what tourism is giving to the world. And this is monthly capacity change in 2000, compared to 2019, until March 20, you can see that, for example, Middle East is about minus 50%, and in totally we were on minus 30%. This is, if you see it in the continent, in Europe, and according to peripheries of Europe, we are facing a year-round decline of almost 40%. Asia and Pacific is almost 50%. Minus 30% is Africa and Middle East, while Americas is almost minus 25%, according to the arrivals to the first quarter of 2020. This is the trends we have in a sharp hat. According to international bookings, this is, for example, you see here that in the area of Asia and Pacific, we have minus 98%. That means that no one is intending to book a room in Asia and Pacific, and you also see that Europe is almost minus 76% and so on. And this is the icon that we have in parts of the world during March. According, this is what we know according to the data that we have since June. Okay, so that means that we had 1.5 billion international tourism arrivals back in 2019, and in 2019's tourism has grown for 4%, and we had a change today of minus 65% in everything, in every part of the world. And this is the decline we see in arrivals in each and every, let's say, regional destination of the world. You see that is everyone is over minus 50%, and this is what we see. This is for the shares we have as GDP, as exports, and as international, in part of international guests in Europe. And this is the employment that tourism is having to many countries in the United States, Philippines, Spain, Brazil, Turkey. That means that when tourism is not working, we have many people that are not working. That means unemployment is very, very high in the sector. And this is what we expect to have, according to the World Tourism Organization, the scenarios that they see until the end of the year. And if this situation is stable. So we considered here that the international tourism arrivals declined an estimated 85% in July, 80% in August 2020. So we have scenarios 1 and 2, where international travel came to a near complete halt after the situation of most international borders in late March were closed, with arrivals plunging 97% in April and 96% in May, according to data reported from all destinations. The curve seems to have bottomed out during these months before ending up slightly to minus 93% in June and estimated to be in minus 85% in July. Scenario 1, which is the one with the gray, which is the most optimistic scenario actually, seems unlikely despite the lifting of travel restrictions in some countries in June and July, as this was mostly limited to Europe and proved to be short-lived. In July and August, several European destinations reintroduced quarantines and other measures in response to growing cases of COVID. By mid-September, these restrictions had not been lifted in the most part and major international tourist destination in other parts of the world, such as China and the United States, that were closed as well. And this is that what the World Tourism Organization believes that we will face until 2024. This is the basic scenario that they are giving. So we have with the blue the actual data and 3 different scenarios. So international tourism could recover the levels of 2019 in a period of time from 2.5 years to 4 years, based on a variety of factors, including the rate of improvement of traveler confidence, because what we're facing now is the travelers, they are not convinced that they can travel, mostly dependent on perceived safety and the evolution of the pandemic. The second thing is that the gradual estimation of travel restrictions, and the third factor is the prevailing economic conditions. We don't know how the economies of worldwide and the countries will be in the next months. Over time, the first 2 factors are expected to support recovery, while the deteriorating economic environment could put growing strain on the rebound. In the first year, all scenarios suggested comparable rebounds in absolute terms, through quite different in relative terms, as the 2020 starting point vary considerably. So scenario 1 points to a recovery of 2019 levels in 2.5 years. counting from the end of this year, 2020, by mid-2023. The second scenario suggests a recovery after 3 years in the end of 2023. And the third scenario, which is the slowest from all, is showing a recovery after 4 years. So what we see is that human beings are always wanted or tried to predict what it is in the future. So after all these years, after all those scientific efforts, evidences we have, this is the first time that we cannot predict future. And tourism will restart, hopefully, after 2 or 3 years' time. But let's hope that this restart will be in a more sustainable and a more viable way, with less crowds in specific places, with less over-tourism phenomena. Let's hope that tourism, which is, I said again, a very resilient industry, can offer more positively in more remote areas, in areas that they have to offer plenty to the world. But in this situation, what we know and we are confident about is that smart and enhanced strategies should now be applied from countries, regions, local destinations, and from businesses, for example, in order to gain confidence back, for example, safety is in traveling is the most important issue. So from small hotels to airlines, businesses have to make sure that their clients that are very, very sure that safety issues, according to the pandemic, is very straight. For example, smart hotels will be benefited very much. Small hotels, not big hotels, not big hotels for over 1,000 beds. So this is from me. I'm very, very happy I met you, and I am here available for you for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Mary. I think that we have a couple of minutes. If someone has some question or opinion to share with us, you can just write down in the chat room.
Oh yes, that's the thing.
Okay, then I think that we can move on with the next presentation. The topic is role of ICT in rural development. The presenter will be Mr. Petri Dobi from the Rural Association Support Program Organization from Albania. And if any of the attendees has a question or a comment, they can write down in chat, and we will see how we will organize to reply and to discuss. Thank you, Mary, once again. Petrit, can you start?
Yes, sorry. Okay.
No.
Is everything okay? So the screen is shared?
Yes, we can see you,
Okay.
and we can see your presentation.
Okay, thank you. So as I see, talking about ICTs is becoming not fashion, but important today. I see other presentations are touching this issue, this thematic. And I think it's very important, especially when we are talking about agricultural and the rural development. So first, let me present myself to the people who doesn't know me or know only virtually through trainings. I'm Petri Dobi. I'm director of RASP, Rural Association Support Program. It's an organization working in rural development in Albania. We have been partnering in this project. And as Mary said, but also Professor Stilios, we built a strong partnership. It's very interesting. When you start, you don't know the people, but when you start working with them, you create strong links, we resolve problems, and you feel much capable at the end of project that you have been at beginning. So I would like to thank everybody from my partners for this collaboration and for opportunity to learn so much during our project. So let's start to say something what is rule development. If we go to the definition, is it the process of improving the quality of life and economic well-being of people living in rural areas, often relatively isolated and sparsely populated areas. Of course, most of people thinks that it's the same with agriculture. No, rural development is much wider than agricultural. It includes agricultural. Agriculture is main part of it because it's its main environment, but also it includes other sectors. Let's say it includes infrastructure, development of infrastructure in rural areas. It includes social development and human development. That is probably most important factor for developing rural areas. So the technology is moving so fast. But when we see why it's not moving so fast in rural areas, we should think of specific of rural areas. So, of course, ICTs are giving a significant contribution to the growth and the development of business sectors. And we know nowadays everybody has a smartphone with a lot of applications, facilitating their life, facilitating their work. Then we continue with internet training, banking, etc. We have heard about robotics. Some are working on robotics. We see that a lot of data processing is going on every day, and we are using the results of this huge data processing. We are exchanging information, being for fun or for our work. So ICTs are being very important part of our life. If we go to ICTs in business, of course, you see a chart here, a figure, and you may see a lot of applications of ICT in the business. I mentioned some, but everybody may mention several. So I'm not going to mention one by one all applications of ICT in business, because this could be done better by my colleagues later on. If we are talking about ICTs in education, everybody felt, especially this year, that ICTs are so important in the education. So we have seen online lectures, we have seen online exams, even our projects has offered online lectures and exam. We have seen administration of data, students registration, exam scheduling, everything in universities we are working with. We have seen, and probably we are using digital libraries, information from everywhere in the world. So I think the ICTs in education have taken their good part. But when you go to agricultural and digital agricultural, the situation is more complex. So there are different terms. I mentioned e-agricultural or digital agricultural. It's the same. If we see in some European countries, it's called digital agenda, in Belgium, Switzerland, etc. FAO use e-agricultural as a term. So it's more or less the same, and it's includes conceptualization, design, development, evaluation, and application of innovative ways to use ICTs in a rural environment, with primary focus in agriculture, as I mentioned. Of course, here you have a chart when it's in more detail explain what we may contribute through ICTs in agricultural, starting from regulatory policy, supporting agricultural extension advisory service to support farmers in doing their job, to promote environmentally sustainable farming practices, for disaster management managing that. And the early warning system for market, food safety, etc., etc. So role of ICTs in agriculture is very large. If you see this picture, we may see some of practical use of ICTs in agriculture. So everybody has a telephone. Everybody is interacting with neighbors, with other farmers, with people. So every farmer is using, I hope every farmer is using telephone. It's the base of communication. But also now we have computers and the websites that we use for information. We have through TV broadcasting, expertise sharing, advisory. We have through satellite data, weather forecast. We have through mobiles, telephone, advice, service, assistance, banking, networking. So I'm not going to mention all these applications, but we see that we have too many possibilities to introduce ICTs in agriculture. But okay, here we have some reasons what ICTs are giving in agriculture. So it's to provide healthy decision support to planners, policy makers for improving planning and monitoring. To provide decision support to farmers for right actions, to improve services to farmers, to empower farmers to go through to access information and knowledge, to enable linkage between farmers for improvement of knowledge and increase the production. Okay. So I'm taking here as example how government could use e-agricultural for supporting farmers, because not everything is linked with applications and robotics. Sometimes we need more interactive systems. One of these is called single window. It's applied, it's type of e-government. It's applied in several countries. But if we go 10 years back, what we see? The farmers who wants to apply 10 years ago, at least was like this, wanted to apply for a grant scheme from national funds or EPARD of European funds in other countries. So they have to go to Directory of Agricultural, then they have to go to tax office to be back to Directory of Agriculture, then take the file and go to municipality, and from municipality they go to property registration office because they need a mortgage, and they go to the tax office, and it's a long way around. So for a farmer, but anyway, this it's time consuming, but also is very difficult for a farmer who has to come to the town or city to resolve all this. And even the grant, the application is approved, is also a lot of a long way to go through. So he has to go now to the bank because he needs a loan now to implement his idea. Then he has to go again to property registration office for mortgage. He has to go again to tax office, and so on. So it's coming around. So this system was existing system, very hard for farmers, and this was the reason that most of farmers haven't applied or were very afraid to start this process of application for funds, EU funds, national funds, or EPARD funds. And single window is a solution now, implemented in several countries. It's called single window somewhere. It's called one-stop shop. In Albania, it's called AgroDot or AgroPika. Different names, but it's the same. The farmer comes to the same place. He makes the application, and it's this office, when he comes, makes the application, sometimes even online, has the connections with all the systems, being from Ministry of Internal Affairs for family registry, being for with a parcel registration system for his parcel, being with Directory of Agricultural or other, let's say, tax office or other sources of information. So everything is resolved online, and farmer can get easily his approval for his application in a very short time. So let's go to some other advantages of what we do with other services in the agriculture. So of course, the benefits of ICTs for increasing agriculture productivity and strengthen agriculture sector includes also the timely information. So if we have timely information for weather forecast, we'll take measures to avoid damage from bad weather, or not to spray before rain, let's say. Or if we want to diagnose the disease using some applications, it will be much more easy, and we don't need to wait for the expert to come and check the plants. But just we make a picture of the leaves and send to the system or to let's say expert. But also we may also measure the humidity in the soil and update the irrigation system. We may monitor the production in the field, as is done by very modern machineries who collect data from the crop collection from, let's say, harvesting system, send this data through satellite, process, and then you have a map of most, let's say, fertile parts of your land, so you can arrange accordingly the fertilization of the other part. So if we go, let's say, to decision support systems, we see that through ICT, farmers can be updated with recent information, as I say. They can be updated for new crops. They can be updated for new varieties that fits better with the conditions of the soil or climate of the area, but fits better also with, let's say, with market requirements. So they may be updated for new technologies to use. They may be updated for, let's say, price information. They may get price information for different markets and use in their pricing policy. So there are a lot of information collected in the field by farmer or farmers' tools and equipments that helps him, but not only him, but also other institutions, to take the right decision. So decision support is one very important element of apply. So also through ICTs, we may widen market access. So marketing is very important element in agriculture, and farmers are very interested to get the right prices for commodities, but also to find where are the best markets and what's the price fluctuation and how to use it in his interest. But also through ICTs in marketing, we may apply direct marketing that is so, let's say, so requested nowadays in COVID time. So I think there are also in marketing a lot of application. But can ICTs contribute not only agriculture, but other aspects of rural development? Of course, ICTs may facilitate farmers' work, and we see that through ICTs, their work is becoming more easy. It's not so dirty as, let's say, as we imagine rural areas. But of course, it improves also food safety through precise agriculture, through identification, the right identification of disease, for example, and using of spraying when it is needed. We put less pesticides in the soil or on the production, agricultural production, so the food safety it's improved. It's improved. But another important element of ICTs in rural development is inclusion of young in agriculture. So young farmers in agriculture is something that is happening now. Of course, for young generation, when we use ICTs, agriculture doesn't look as a dirty sector, as a difficult sector. It looks more easy, more fancy, and they feel themselves more important because they may take, they have advantage of using technology much easier than their parents. So this is a very important contribution of ICTs in rural development. But also we have other contribution, that is, let's say, ICTs are strengthening communication and cooperation between farmers, between farming communities, and they are helping networking of farmers, collaborators, different institutions, NGOs, private sector. So this networking is becoming much more easy and very, let's say, useful for farmers community, to develop farmers community. Okay, but why digitalization in agriculture is so difficult? Why it's not moving so fast? Sorry, it's not moving so fast as in other sectors in industry, let's say. Let's take one element: entrepreneurship. In industry, in trade industry or other industry, production industry, the success is based on initiative. We have competition, we have bankrupt process, we have growing and successful business, we have new business coming, startups coming in the market, we have old business going out. So it's very dynamic, and entrepreneurship and competition is the engine of the development. But if you go to agriculture, we have some specifics. So in agricultural, an entrepreneur is the owner of the land. He inherits his land from his father in a certain region with a certain climate, soil type, landscape, distance from the markets. So he can't do much to change this. So he has to do business in conditions he's inherited. And his conditions sometimes depends on other factors, as the weather, for example. So this makes more risky his work, and makes more difficult for people who work in rural areas to move forward in this. So there are a list of factors that inhibits introduction of ICTs in rural areas. I'm listing here some. Illiteracy is very important, but nowadays we cannot talk in general about illiteracy in rural areas, but technical illiteracy is very important. So there is a need of technical literacy. So it's a connection between education level and use of electronic means. So this is why we have sometimes problems to introduce such technologies in rural areas, because the people there feel less confident than urban people to implement such technologies. Another factor is poverty, and we know that poverty is more present in rural areas, especially in remote areas. So, of course, to access internet, to have a computer or mobile phone, you need to have some resources. And this is a limited factor sometimes for most of the farmers. And of course, the poverty is affecting any new technology, but in our case, ICTs are highly affected. Another factor is infrastructure. And when we are talking about infrastructure, we are talking about electricity that is not so good. Electricity supply is not so good in rural areas, but we are talking specifically for internet. And during this year, we have felt this. If somebody was giving lectures to some students and part of them were in remote areas, they had difficulty to get internet, to have internet access and use online lectures. So, and of course, infrastructure is much poorer in rural areas than in cities. Another factor is discrimination. Discrimination is generally linked with rural areas and urban areas, among educated and illiterate people, among rich and poor, and we see this every day. Even in nowadays, we have the mentality of rural people being not, let's say, of the same level with people living in urban areas. Okay, another factor is costs. So as I mentioned, and this links to poverty, so the people who are poor, are living under the poverty line. They don't have funds to cover telephone line or internet connection costs or to buy a computer. So all these are linked. So poverty and costs are main important factors. Which are other factors? Is hesitation to revolutionize. So normally people, especially in rural areas, are disinclined to change. They don't accept the change so easy. In rural areas, we see if we in urban areas, a lecture, a show is enough for introducing something new. If you go to rural areas, we have to make much more efforts. We have to show an applied case. If the farmer can't see applied, he never will use it. So this is a factor, important factor that inhibits introduction. But also we have other factors as language dominance, for example. Dominance of in internet, we see that 98% of information is, if I'm right with figures, is in English. So for people who are not so good in English, and this is happening in rural areas, link with access to internet and other ways for young people to improve their English, so they feel themselves not in the right level to get the right information. Another factor, interesting factor, is resistance to change. We know that in urban areas, in industry, we have strong competition. If you are above average level, you may bankrupt. In rural areas, we have to work with all the people, all the farmers, until they decide to sell their land. But not all the people are in the same level, let's say. So we have, of course, some innovators, a small percentage. They are innovators, are people we like to work with, but also we have early adopters. When they see something new, they directly adopt. And after them, we have other categories. We have to work with them. And it's not so easy because some farmers categories are, let's say, so lazy in laggards in taking new things. Sometimes they don't accept new things, and this is another inhibition for introducing ICTs. The speed is also different in rural areas and urban areas, and I think that we see the speed of technology moving faster in urban areas, and this is the speed of information, the speed of changing. So the speed is important because if you are one step behind, you will remind, or you need much more efforts to catch the leading group. So all these problems I mentioned for rural development could be resolved, but it's not so easy. We cannot do this through introduction of some applications, of some robotics. We need to work strategically. And for this, in many countries are introducing or applying e-agriculture strategy. E-agriculture strategy is resolving some of the problems, or is tackling main problems that inhibit rural development. So normally they are working with standards and interoperability. So different systems, as I mentioned in this information system, single window, different systems should be online with each other. You should take in consideration exchange of information, property right, privacy of information. You should take in consideration technology, servers. You should take in consideration also legal framework. So it's not so easy to support for government to support development of ICTs in rural areas, especially for the role that government has as for example, extension service, advice, information for farmers, application for grants, etc., etc. So content knowledge management and sharing is also very important. Nowadays, we have websites, and of course, the quality of information and the channels to move this information and, to the farmers is very important. A lot of platforms are building, and a lot of governments and ministries are developing their strategy to reach farmers. And of course, in our project, we didn't focus mainly on farmers, or we focused some of farmers who were more literate, more educated, but we are focusing also on them. So we play a role opening a new channel to increase the knowledge of students working in agriculture in order to start developing some new ideas and to help developing of agriculture. I mentioned legislation, policy, and compliance. It's a very important step. I am not staying on this slide. So, and in these strategies, it's important to create an enabling environment and support introduction of ICTs. So a part of the job is done by development projects. We cannot wait everything from government. So development projects are taking a very important role. And here I would like to stress the role that BalkanMed INNOVA has played in introduction of ICTs in agriculture. First, the school, the web school, available for everybody, for every student, being from rural or urban areas, can access this information. Especially students from agriculture universities, and the largest part of students participating in BalkanMed INNOVA school from Albania, they were from agriculture university or related sectors. So BalkanMed INNOVA helped them to increase their knowledge through ICTs, through this platform. But it's not only this. During this project, we found some very interesting ideas at students to link ICTs, ICTs covered from our lead partner, with agricultural. And it was very interesting. I mentioned here only two of them. So being natural and organic is one idea, business idea. They have to present tomorrow, but the idea is to sell online organic food products to fit with the situation. It's very interesting, and I hope to that is a winner. So another is agri-tech. It's an idea that's supporting, let's say, beekeepers, giving them possibilities to access information directly from bees without going to the apiary, without going in mountain or in pasture, but from their home, just sending a message or receiving some information from humidity, weight of the hive, and other information. So there are ideas that links our project, I think, with ICTs in agriculture. Okay. So this is more or less my presentation. I again thank you for the attention, and I'm open to questions now.
Thank you very much, Petrit. Yes, if there are any questions or comments, please. Okay, if we receive them, we will address them later. Petrit, thank you very much for your presentation. It was very interesting one. Okay, now we move with the next presentation. The topic is entrepreneurship in the digital age. And we have two presenters, Mr. Petros Kosmas and Mr. Chris Andreev. They both come from the Cyprus University of Technology.
Okay. We just want to share the screen.
Just a moment to
Just a moment.
presentation.
To import our presentation. We go share.
You are sharing your screen, okay.
Full screen.
Full screen, yes. Okay.
Is it okay? Do you with the full?
Okay.
Nice. So let me introduce myself. My name is Petros Kosmas. I'm lecturer in the department of Hotel and Tourism Management here in Cyprus University of Technology. I would like to thank Alexander Filipovsky and his team for all this hosting of and all the organization of the final event in these strange circumstances that we had to deal. Also, I would like to introduce my colleague, which is his the doctoral researcher, and his major is actually entrepreneurship in the digital age and technological entrepreneurship and innovation, which is also our topic that we are going to discuss and to present to you. Christos.
Hello from me. As Petros mentioned, I'm a PhD student in entrepreneurship, and I will present you today something that's more on the practical side of things than on the academic side of things, mostly based on personal experience into the incubators, accelerators with various startups that I was involved with throughout the years, and some principles that were learned during this time. Our lecture is...
So he will talk more as a practitioner than academic procedure, theoretical.
Yeah, I think this is also a better presentation and more suitable for our attendees and for our audience, which are startuppers, entrepreneurs. So basically our presentation today is entrepreneurship in the digital age. And there is a universal law there. According to Heraclitus, in Greek, ta pandari, everything changes, but change itself, change is inevitable, everything flows and nothing ever remains the same. And you cannot step in the same river twice, as Heraclitus says, for the waters yet are bringing another new water, and it's a never-ending flow. So this is a universal law, everything changes always. However, in the digital age, change is faster than it used to be before. Change, in fact, is faster than ever. As Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, says, in today's era of volatility, there is no other way but to reinvent. The only sustainable advantage you can have over others is agility, and that's it. Because nothing else is sustainable, and everything else you create, somebody else will replicate. So it matters that the change is fast, and the adaptability is fast as well. We have to embrace new technology. This is really important because if we don't, we perish. So according to John Chambers, who is the ex-CEO of Cisco, at least 40% of all businesses will die in the next 10 years if they don't figure out how to change their entire company to accommodate technologies. This will apply in all kinds of sectors. I want to give you one example I think pretty much everyone is familiar with. Let's take the mobile industry, for example. In the early 2000 to 2008, let's say, there was one dominant player in this industry, Nokia. Everybody had Nokia, and Nokia had the most sales worldwide. It was super famous. The brand was really good. Everybody had Nokia. It was a gold standard. But then what happened? The Apple released the iPhone, and that's it. Nokia barely could stand this change. Nokia couldn't keep up with the competition, and they ended up in a hole and losing this position of market leader very fast by other companies such as Apple and of course Samsung, etc. So adaptation is really important, as Nokia teaches us. They didn't adapt on time, and the competition ate them over. So it's no longer the big beating the small, but the fast beating the slow. So this is according to Eric Pearson. It's really important not only how good you are at adaptability, but also how fast you are. If you are agile, you are okay. If you are slow and you have bureaucracies and your procedures require this and that, that's not going to work very well. That's why startups, which are agile companies without layers of hierarchy, without bureaucracy, they're able to produce these amazing products, these amazing technologies. And the rest of the big companies, they have all the funds in the world, they have super extra factories, they have this and that, but they find it much harder to innovate. So let's talk about some transformational technologies for businesses. There are many here, but we selected the 12 most prominent technologies at this day and age, which really bring this change into the digital world and to the entrepreneurship. The first one is a huge one, is artificial intelligence, AI. AI is the future. Everything and everyone talks about AI is super hot in any industry. Everybody is imagining different scenarios of computers overtaking the tasks of people and doing everything automatically. There are even there is a polarization between people. On the one side, we have the technophobes who think that this will be an Armageddon scenario. So basically, we will lose all the jobs, and we will not have financial capability to sustain. And there are also the technophiles that believe that machines undertaking human tasks will free our time to do the things that we love. So we will have some kind of way to sustain ourselves based on a machine-based economy, which is automated, and we will be able to do only the things that we really like, for example, art, for example, sports, or whatever else someone else likes because of artificial intelligence. And now artificial intelligence is really important to businesses. Yeah.
As we say, soft skills.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, artificial intelligence changes many things about businesses. At the current level, artificial intelligence is far from everything being automated. However, there are many promising startups and many big corporations that are trying to apply artificial intelligence, like Google, for example, is one of the best out there that try to develop artificial intelligence. And also there is Poly AI, Neuro AI, there is Neuralink, the company of Elon Musk. And all companies are trying basically to push the limits of the technology and to make transformation and change even faster. With artificial intelligence, the way it's first, the reason that is first in this list is because if we manage to develop artificial intelligence in a sense, it will it can try to, it can actually speed things up. It can speed the changes even further. So for the second one, we have machine learning, which goes hand to hand with artificial intelligence. And machine learning is the ability of the machine to learn by itself. It uses algorithms like neural networks and different patterns. It uses pattern recognition, image recognition. It can study different aspects. So machine learning is really the ability of the machine to learn new things. There is a really nice example on chess. The chess player Garry Kasparov, I'm sure many of you know him. He's really famous. Was one of the best chess players. Was the best chess player in the world. And he got beaten by a computer in 1991 by an AI, early stage AI. However, the software got better and better. And at some point, Google developed one software called Starfish, which learned chess from scratch with machine learning and was able to beat the world champions in chess with just 1 hour of training. It was basically playing against itself for 1 hour, and it learned chess at the level of the world champions. So that's why it's so important. However, if you want to talk about machine learning, we have to take into account big data. We cannot have machine learning without big data because machine learning is fed by big data. We need big data to feed the algorithms in order to learn from the data, and we need big pool of data so that the learning outcome can be reliable. As many data as we have, the better the learning becomes in terms of machine learning. So yeah, big data is the third big transformational technology for businesses. It's really important if we can have the ability to analyze this data through an automated system, we can learn everything. It's very important that now we have customer reality data. It's not the same thing to make a survey and make a market research on a survey based on someone's opinion. That's one way of approaching it, but it's much more accurate to gather market reality data. What are they called? So market reality data is basically the actual patterns of the customer, what's the customer exactly doing. Like we can see these prime examples in some analytics software. We're visiting a website or we are scrolling through our mobile phone in some application. There are algorithms behind it that are collecting our every step, and even analytics such as that you stared at this photo for this amount of time, for X amount of time, this kind of data. These are market reality data, and they are the almost exact representation of what that customer or what the customers are looking for and their exact customer behavior. So we are going from perceived customer behavior, which is I agree, I strongly agree, I disagree, I strongly disagree, etc., from exact data. So this is one great opportunity, and we can. The good thing about our era, our digital era, is that it transforms businesses because now we have this data at a large scale available. And this large scale is basically collecting all this through big data. And they get analyzed by machine learning and AI algorithms. So we got all the analytics. So the fourth elements and transformational technology for businesses is blockchain technology. There are many seminars about blockchain technology technology. There are many webinars about blockchain technology. There are cryptocurrencies, everything related. It's huge opportunity for startups. That this is one channel that basically ensures anonymity and ensures that transactions are made without basically going through some third-party system that is regulated by the government or something like that. So there is decentralization with blockchain, and this is really important because it gives the opportunity to small companies and startups to innovate and to get into sectors such as banking, transactions, KYC, which is know your customer, and these kind of things. Like blockchain can help us to develop digital signatures that don't require certificates that are produced by big corporations or by big organizations that are basically centralized, and you need tons of funding in order to acquire these certifications. With the blockchain technology, you can use this with almost free cost. You can create something by leveraging the capabilities of the blockchain. So it's amazing.
It's a good help also for entrepreneurs in the Balkan region.
It's great for it's great for everyone. It does have its downsides. However, people don't trust so much blockchain technology because it is associated with trading in cryptocurrencies. It is associated with the dark web and these kind of things. But blockchain is solid and pretty reliable technology that can be really leveraged by small businesses, and they can develop amazing new disruptive products, which is really important for the sustainability and in order to see new ideas to the market, to bring new solutions to the market, and not to go through Big Four, through the banks, and through the governments. So this is basically the idea. Blockchain give us decentralization. Then we go to a little bit to the visual aspects. So how we enhance our current vision, our current activities in the digital world is with some basically augmented, virtual, and mixed realities, which all have in mind the goal to give us a greater experience of the everyday life. Let's start with augmented reality, because augmented reality is currently the one that's been most prominent, because it's not like virtual reality, which takes you off the reality completely. It gives you extra data into the reality. And this is really important because augmented reality doesn't necessarily give you a completely new experience, but enhances already good experience. There are so many applications of augmented reality. However, there are many to come. The opportunities for businesses are huge for augmented reality. We've seen many applications for tourism. We've seen many applications for in the automotive industry. For example, in the automotive industry now, there are indicators that say exactly where the middle of the road is. There is AR in the rear view cameras of the new cars, so you can park really easily. It shows you exactly how close you are with the red and light indicators. All that into augmented reality, and we have augmented reality glasses, but I don't want to address those now because I prefer to address them in the mixed reality category. The augmented reality is mainly distributed through mobile phones. The reason behind this is that mobile phones, almost everyone has a smartphone, and they can use it to leverage augmented reality. And this is really nice because it opens the door for so many startups to develop on the smartphone technology, and there is huge market for that. There are augmented reality specific products, but they have the drawback. They don't have so big of a market, and as mentioned before in the previous presentation, only early adopters are currently using these devices for augmented reality, dedicated augmented reality devices. So augmented reality can be used also in the production. People can use augmented reality to indicate different aspects of products in the production chain, to indicate and to find mistakes in the production chain, in the production process. And there are also commercial use and this industrial use of augmented reality. Then we have the next technology, which is virtual reality. It takes you completely off the real world. It puts you into a virtual world. Sorry. Sorry, we had some fire exercise going on in our building. Please close the door. We have some fire exercise going on in our building here. I don't know if you hear it's probably very loud. I don't know if we can do, if we can continue with this noise.
Is it okay, Alexander?
Yes, we can hear the noise, but it's now that loud, so you can continue. Now we don't hear it anymore.
Okay, perfect. We close the door, so hopefully it will be okay.
Sorry.
Sorry about that.
It's the university that designed it today to organize this kind of exercise. Anyway.
Yeah, fire exercise. So yeah, in virtual reality, as I was saying, we go into a different world. We produce different environments. The applications of virtual reality are many, mainly into the game industry, but not only. We can see like virtual reality being used in indoor activities. For example, cycling is a huge one. If you are familiar with Zwift or RGT, these are some applications that are designed for people that cycle indoors. These are huge in countries like UK or during the raining season. People are using these applications to make indoor cycling really nice because it's very boring. So basically you are cycling on your trainer, on your indoor trainer, and you're watching a nice view of a specific cycling route that you like. And you can even invite your friends. For example, I am in Cyprus and Petros, let's say he lives in the US, and we want to go together to do a ride at the Velo Lane in Dubai. We are able to do that through virtual reality, through this kind of applications. Virtual reality is being used for training of personnel, for education purposes, for all this kind of things. So the opportunities there for businesses are limitless. The virtual reality is really at its peak, and it will peak even more than that. So the only limit currently is the imagination and the current technology. Going through the next one is mixed reality, which is between virtual and augmented reality. It's been pioneered by Microsoft and the HoloLens platform mainly. And it has to do with dedicated devices that are mainly augmented reality based, like glasses that you wear and they indicate the speed you go on a bike, or the altitude and these kind of things. Mixed reality is really in its, it has to be developed further in order to be used in a wide range. Then we have 3D printing, which allows us to print really fast and to create new things. We've seen 3D printing being used to print even homes, so which in the future will probably even disrupt the real estate industry and the building industry. And of course, we have robotics, which are getting more and more into the everyday work. And we are talking about industrial and prosthetics. Also, we have the drones, which is a huge industry. Also transformational. We've seen aviation in drones. We've seen delivery with drones. We've seen many things. So the opportunities there are basically endless. We have the Internet of Things, which is connecting all of our devices into the cloud, into so I have Internet of Things 2 times. The second one was supposed to be smart cities. So the Internet of Things, it's basically connecting and being able to respond and to communicate with all of our devices at once. This is a huge one, and it will make our lives much easier and will give great opportunities for businesses to leverage this technology. And last we have smart cities, which is Internet of Things, but the smart cities. So basically, the cities will be able to amend. The cities will be able to gather data and to analyze this data and to give people much better quality of living because of this. So the applications in terms of businesses are endless. They can contribute to that by developing algorithms, by developing services that are based on to the smart cities concept. So digital transformation is really fast. As Gary Vee says, it took 38 years before 50 million people gained access to radios, and it took television 30 years to earn an audience of 50 million. But it took Instagram only a year and a half. So there are benefits and the downsides of digital transformation. The benefits are that the digital transformation is basically accelerating the business process with automation. It's improving the customer experience. It helps businesses towards better decision making thanks to data, with greater agility, flexibility, and scalability of businesses, greater reliability, and flexibility, and security. And of course, last but not least, creating a productive digital workplace and culture, which can be done easier with the digital transformation. But there are also challenges and downsides of digital transformation. We have employee resistance and change, basically. Some employees don't want this change.
We saw these challenges also from Petrit's presentation, how it's going to be the adaptation of the new technologies in the rural areas. It's more or less also you can find.
Yeah, that's a huge one, especially people that are not digital natives or digital nomads, as they call them. Also there is a lack of clear vision and strategy about digital transformation in companies. The companies have no data management strategy. They produce lots of big data, but they don't have a way to analyze this data, and they lose data. They lose market reality based on that. There are inflexible business procedures like bureaucracy, like something getting really hard to do because of it has to pass through many steps, like know your customer or signatures. all these kinds of things. We have lack of technical expertise in the companies, and because the talent goes to big companies, basically. And the last one, bureaucracy, which is pretty self-explanatory. So here are some 6 tips, because we're going with the rule of 6. The tips for adopting digital technology into the environment of a startup or any company, basically. Understanding how to take advantage of the technology. The businesses can indicate how they can leverage the technology and to take advantage of it accordingly. Education is the second one and is a huge one. If you don't know how to use technology, you just sit there and learn it. For some people it's harder, for some people it's easier, but nonetheless it can be learned. The third one is to adopt agile business practices, which I'm sure that some people from the software industry are familiar with this lean business or agile business practices. And they refer to practices that are faster and they don't work like the waterfall method with basically Gantt charts and these kind of things. They work with specific tasks that has to be done in the circle of the product. These are lean business practices and they are easier to implement in small teams, basically, instead of huge teams. Then we have the higher digital top talent, if that's feasible, if there is available talent. Look for it, give good salaries, don't be stingy. And the fifth one is taking advantage of data and analytics. That's a huge one, because if you don't know anything about the data that your customers are producing, if you don't use this data, that's really a waste. You can use this data to optimize your business practices, to optimize your business procedures, to optimize your marketing strategies, all these kind of things. And last but not least, using automated services and free credits by Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Azure, Apple, etc. So this was basically our presentation on the digital transformation and entrepreneurship in the digital age. I want to close with some suggestions for free resources for startups. Before we go to this one showed here, I want to say that all the major cloud providers like Amazon Web Services, Google, Azure, they provide free credits for startups. If you're a startup into the incubator, you're allowed to make an application with your through your incubator to get 10,000 free credits in Amazon Web Services, which is very nice. If you have a startup that uses some kind of AI or machine learning into the procedure, if you have a tech startup that leverages these technologies, you can apply for 100K credits into the Google Cloud platform. And there is a similar rule to the Azure platform as well. So startups can leverage these automated services by the big cloud providers. And this is really nice because they help you to advance and to produce your technologies faster, in a fast way, and more reliable also. Yeah, there is the issue of centralization, but it can really help you to produce your product and to get into the market faster. So for our free resources, we have the BalkanMed INNOVA web school, which we are really proud of because it was really good, a really good one. It really helped startups to learn things about specific fields and about entrepreneurship. And we want to thank all the consortium and everybody involved into this project to make the BalkanMed INNOVA web school a reality. We have entrepreneur.com, which lists various news and different new things that you need to know about entrepreneurship. We have startupacademy.org, which has really interesting topics about entrepreneurship and that is teaching how to some best practices from Silicon Valley, which is really nice. It's a non-profit organization. We have the startup school by Y Combinator, which is an accelerator in the US, which is also a non-profit organization. We have the Startup Toolkit, which is one toolkit for startups, which is going to provide free tools for startups. It's developed by our research center. It's been released in beta version, if anyone wants to check it out. It basically has automated tools in Excel format that are really useful for startups, and they're easy to use. So instead of paying X amount of money to someone to do your financial projections, you can do it yourself with the Startup Toolkit. And there is the Medium, which is basically online media, but they have this amazing article on 400 free resources and tools for entrepreneurs and freelancers, through which you can find anything from AI-free platforms to all the way to free resources, royalty-free images, graphics, videos, sounds, all kinds of stuff that you're gonna need. That's it from us. Thank you very much for your attention, and feel free to join the discussion. I don't know if Petros wants to add anything. Great. Sorry about the noise that we had. So yeah, if we have any questions, let us know.
Yes, thank you both of you for the great presentation. Digital transformation is really, really important right now. I think that all sectors need to really adapt to this new situation. We have one question. Yes, you can. We will send the presentation for all presentations to all attendees.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, there are no more questions right now. I suggest we continue further. The next presentation is on the topic of intellectual property and innovation as a tool for business and internationalization. Our next presenter comes from Bulgaria. It's Ms. Fani Koleva from the Applied Research and Communications Fund Organization.
Hello, nice to meet all of you. I would share presentation now. Do you see it?
Yes, we see your presentation, Fanny.
Okay. So I also work for the Joint Innovation Center at the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences, and this project helped the center to enhance the capacity of young scientists. It's a pleasure for me to be here and to talk about intellectual property and innovation. I will cover a few things. On one hand, the relation between the two things. Afterwards, the concept and development of IP, the scope and types of IP and relevance to innovation, and international aspects. So if I have to start from the relation between the two things, what is important to mention is that it's similar as the old question, what is first, the egg or the hen? And as we know, it's not a good question because we can see it from two perspectives at least. On one hand, if we don't have intellectual product, of course, we cannot have innovation. And on the other hand, if we don't have intellectual product, we cannot have intellectual property. We cannot have ownership on it. But it's not that simple because as far as innovation is something new, which is already on the market, there is an issue here. And the issue is that if you're already on the market with your new product, new technology, etc., and you have not taken measures to protect this knowledge, to have your IP, this could become problematic because anyone else could copy it and you cannot oppose to this. So the question for me is not what is first and what is second, but that those are the two sides, the two parts of the same coin. So what is specific for intellectual products, apart from being information, is of course that they're intangible. And this means that they can be used simultaneously on different places by different persons. So they can be realized in the same period of time many times, which is good if, of course, the creator has the control on this use. And the other part of the story, of course, is that they are unique intellectual products, are creations of mind, and therefore it's quite difficult for different persons to create the same thing. It's not entirely impossible, especially in the field of technologies, but anyway, it's hard to duplicate independently. Which makes intellectual products very attractive for use, very attractive on the market, and unfortunately also very attractive for duplication, imitation, and unfair use by parties different from the creators. And also this becomes even easier nowadays with all the technologies, the digital technologies, which allow to third parties to copy intellectual products, usually quite easily, upon a limited cost and within limited time, and also having a copy which very often is no worse than the original, because in the past this was not possible. The copies were usually not that good. Nowadays, it's not problematic to achieve the same quality. So the society, as we know, is creative. It's characteristic of the human being to be creative, since its very appearance. Are we okay with the sound and everything else?
I think that there are some disturbances, but now it's okay.
Okay. Creativity is something old, but protecting property on its result, it's not that old. From what we know today, it started happening somewhere in the Middle Ages, when the kings created the so-called regimes of privileges, which means that when the king decided that someone created intellectual product which is good for the society, the king gave a privilege to its creator. The privilege consists of the fact that the creator had the right to use this intellectual product himself and not to share the product with others. And although this was a model which evolved and developed with time, because of course it was case by case decision of the kings. However, this concept is in intellectual property system until today. Therefore, the ownership on an intellectual product is usually connected with the concept of the exclusive right to give on to the creator exclusive right on the intellectual product for a limited period of time. What happens after this limited period of time? The intellectual product goes in the so-called public domain, which means that anyone can use it, and this is legitimate, and there is no problem with it. And the idea behind it is that after this limited period of time, the society would evolve based on this knowledge, based on this intellectual product and the information in it. The elements of this right, of this property, are three. On one hand, of course, the creator can use the intellectual product himself, no doubt. Together with this, he can prohibit the use of the intellectual product by other parties for this limited period of time. Therefore, the right is called exclusive right. It is the right to exclude. And the third element is the right of disposal. Said in other words, the owner has the right to do actions connected with the property. For example, he may transfer the property to another party, no matter if the other party pays for this. Therefore, it could be a sale or it could be even a donation. There are also some other limitations of property, not only the time limitation, there is also the territorial one, which means that the property is at hand for the territory of country where some actions in this regard have been realized. I will talk about this later. And there are also limitations from the perspective that the IP owner cannot prohibit every use of the intellectual product by third parties. For reasons connected with the public interest, there are some types of use which cannot be prohibited by IP owner. They differ according to the legislation in the specific country and also according to the type of intellectual product. However, very often they are connected with the use for educational and scientific purposes. And what is also important to mention is that IP offers more options for realization of intellectual product value compared to tangibles. One of the best examples for it is licensing. This is the permission which the owner gives to third parties to use the intellectual product against payment. What is even more important is that licensing is possible to happen simultaneously. So if I'm the IP owner, I can use the intellectual product myself, and I can also allow different licensees to use it in the same time, which means that different sources of income from those different users can go to the IP owner. Or this is what Albert Einstein said before: if I have an apple and you have an apple and we change those apples, in the end, both of us will have one apple. But if I have an idea and you have an idea and we change those ideas, in the end of this process, both of us would have two ideas. So that's the valuable thing for IP. And what is also important to mention is that many things which any one of us can do with tangibles are also possible for IP. Not only assignment, or transfer of property, but also use it as collateral for credits, uses collateral in court proceedings and similar things. Intellectual property, as historically based term, covers two types of intellectual products. The first type are intellectual products which have direct manufacturing or commercial application, which are also popular as industrial property. What is important for them is that they can be differentiated in two categories. On one hand, intellectual products of technical character, which means that their value is mainly used in the manufacturing process. Those can be new technologies, new products, etc. And they transfer their value in the product during the manufacturing. If I have to connect them to innovation, those are inventions, utility models, for example. And the other category are the so-called market indications, for which the situation is different. The value is realized on the market because there are signs which are put on the products in order to give orientation to the consumers in the process of taking a purchase decision. Those are trademarks, geographical indications, trade names. And in between those two categories, we have the industrial designs, which have the characteristics of both categories. On one hand, of course, as far as industrial designs are connected with the appearance of product, which means they are integrated, applied to the product. They are close to the inventions and the utility models because they are realized during the manufacturing process. On the other hand, as far as they are connected with the appearance, they are similar to the market indications because the appearance very often gives the consumer enough information to take the decision, even if there is no trademark or geographical indication, etc. And of course, industrial designs are also connected to innovation, while it's not that relevant to market indications. For all those intellectual products, property is received after a procedure of registration, and in the end of this procedure, a document of property is issued. The other category is the category of intellectual product which satisfied spiritual or intellectual needs. So their main purpose is not to be included in industrial process. Examples for these are works of literature, art, or science, artistic performances, broadcasts, phonograms, videos, and the specific for them is that, as you see, the protection is automatic. Said in other words, when the intellectual product is created, its creator is already its owner. It's also true that nowadays this differentiation between the two categories is not that important as in the 19th century, because nowadays we also have industries based on the second category of intellectual creations, based on literature, music, etc. But nevertheless, the fact that other necessities are satisfied in this way is still relevant. And What is also necessary to mention here is that the concept of intellectual property constantly develops, and also that its context enriches all the time because the society develops as well. If I have to say something about the relevance of the second category of intellectual product, the so-called artistic property, to innovation, probably the closest part of it to innovation are the scientific works. So industrial property is much closer to innovation than artistic one. And here I want to present to your attention the concept of intellectual property as defined somewhere in the end of 60s in the convention establishing the World Intellectual Property Organization. I'm not going to read it, you can do it yourself, but I have to mention some things I consider important. On one hand, scientific discoveries, they're quite different from all the rest because they're connected with finding out principles of nature which have not been known to society up to now. This is what happened with Sir Newton when, as you know, he laid under a tree and the apple fell on his head. He guessed that this is because of some reason, and in this way he's discovered gravity. Why are scientific discoveries different from other intellectual products? Because they're closely connected with nature, and in fact there is no intellectual product as a new creation. It's only new knowledge, but no new creation as new technology, etc. Therefore, in the few countries where protection is offered for scientific discoveries, it's not the same protection as for all the rest. It's only a document certifying that this person has discovered that discovery. No, nothing more than this. And no economic nature of the rights, which is most important. The other thing which are consider important to comment is protection against unfair competition, because we don't have intellectual products here as well, but we have unfair behavior on the market connected with information and intellectual products. This behavior can take two directions. On one hand, unfair use of intellectual products of other party, which is the key purpose of IP protection by principle, but many intellectual products do not cover the requirements of law for protection. For all of them, the protection against unfair competition is the only instrument. For the rest is alternative instrument. And this is also relevant for know-how and trade secrecy. And the second direction of unfair behavior is unfair behavior realized by the means of unfair use of information. So it's not connected at all with intellectual products. And the example is misleading behavior. If in my advertisement I say for my product some things which are not true, and in this way I make the consumers to prefer my product and not to prefer the product of my competitors, of course this is unfair. And this can be stopped. And the third thing important here is that this definition is open. As you see, all the rights connected with intellectual activity in the different spheres will be considered intellectual property. And here I gave in the brackets some examples: computer programs, databases, integrated circuits, new plant varieties, and animal breeds, all of which are, of course, connected with innovation quite close. And when I said about relevance of artistic property to innovation, A good example here are computer programs, which are indeed considered artistic property and more specifically literary property, even if this seems strange sometimes. So a few words about international aspects. As far as we have territorial nature of intellectual property, and I want to protect my IP in other countries as well, not only in the country of origin. I have to take some decisions. But before that, what happens if I don't take these decisions and I don't take any actions to protect my intellectual products in other countries? The intellectual products would be free for use in all those other countries. The only exclusion is that you have some know-how connected with your intellectual product, and the other parties cannot use them without your know-how. But it's a limited variant. It's not always like that. So strategy is necessary because there are different variants in which you can protect your IP in other countries. The first two international treaties which have been used to solve the problems connected with internationalization are the Paris and Berne Conventions. As you see, they have been adopted in 19th century, and their main task was to do with the protectionist policies of governments, because they also influenced the IP field. I said, in other words, the governments discriminated foreign citizens against own citizens in their IP legislation as well. Therefore, the conventions adopted some principles to avoid that. The principle of national treatment, which means that the foreigners must not be treated in a worse way than local citizens. The principle of independence of protection, which means that the protection in one country does not influence on the protection of in another country. The reason behind this is that when all citizens went for protection in other countries, they sometimes have been deprived of protection in their own countries. And the third principle is specific for industrial property. As far as for industrial property, there is a regime of registration. There have been another issue with discrimination. When a person went to a second country, they told him, okay, your intellectual product is not new. Therefore, because you have first application in another country, therefore we don't give you protection. It's also necessary to mention that for invention, utility models, industrial design, the requirement of novelty is very important. So the priority principle says that if you apply for protection in one country of the Paris Union and afterwards go for protection in second, third, fourth, etc. countries within a limited period of time for the same intellectual product, and this period is 1 year for inventions and utility models and 6 months for the rest. If you apply within this period of time in the other countries, your application would be considered filed at the first date, the date of the first application in the first country. So its novelty would be appreciated at the first date and not at a later date. And moreover, if between those 2 days, the first and the second, a third party appears with the same intellectual product or very similar to it, this party would get a refusal for protection, even though its application have been filed before the real application, before this second application, because it's considered applied, submitted at the first date, the priority date. But the Paris and Berne Convention do not take care of the fact that if you want protection for many countries, you have to go country by country, submit application by application in the relevant language, according to the relevant legislation, and pay fees in the relevant currency. Therefore, other international treaties appear to solve this issue. I know that my time is limited, but I have only one slide, so I will try to be quick. So we have national route, what I just mentioned, on one hand. On the other hand, international route, which means that one application is submitted which leads to protection in many countries. You see the relevant systems. And regional route, for which we have, again, one application which leads to protection in many countries. What is the difference between the international and the regional route? The one difference, of course, is obvious. It's different territorial scope. International systems are bigger than the regional ones because the regional ones allow protection for countries which are in the same regions, close to one another. There are also other systems. On one hand, differences, excuse me, access to the system, which means that international systems are closed. They can only be used by citizens of countries which belong to the system, while regional systems are open to anyone. The international systems offer opportunity for choice of countries. They have many members, so you can choose for which you want protection, while for regional systems, you get either everything or nothing. The only exclusion from the listed systems here is European patent system, for which you can have a choice. European patent system is the system of the European continent, not of the European Union, therefore it's a bit specific. And for international systems, you have one application, but this one application goes to different countries, different offices, and each of them evaluates the application according to its own legislation. And after the protection is given, this protection abides to this legislation. While for the regional system, there is one office, one examination according to one legislation, and afterwards the protection for all the countries abides to this one legislation. So the protection is easier to manage. So thanks a lot for the attention. If there are questions, of course, I'm here for them.
Thank you much. Thank you very much, Fanny. If there are any questions or comments regarding Fanny's presentation, please write us in chat. If not, we can continue with the final panel presentations for today. These are on topics of internationalization of startups. And now we're going to present two possibilities available for startup companies. These are, the first one is VGate platform. It's a European gateway for women entrepreneurship. And the second one is the Enterprise Europe Network, which is the largest network for supporting internationalization of startup and small and medium-sized companies. So now I will invite my colleague, Ms. Emilia Andonova from the VGate platform, to start her presentation.
Thank you very much, Alexander, for the introduction. I hope that you can see my presentation. Is it visible?
Yes.
It was a pleasure to hear all of you and all of your presentation. I've learned a lot today, and I can see that you've done a lot within your project. Congratulations on that. I really hope that we can follow up all of the activities and as well participate in the next phase. Today, it is a pleasure for me to join the conference and to give you a small presentation about the internationalization of the startups through our platform, which is VGate. The name shares a lot. We open doors for women entrepreneurs, which means that we are working with startup companies, small and medium-sized companies, in a way to support them in their businesses. I will try to be brief to explain in more details about what we are doing, how we can support you if you are planning to open your business or if you are already having a business. And as well, after that, I will be open for more questions. I wanted to start this presentation with the thought of Dalai Lama. In order to carry a positive action, we must carry a positive vision. Why this is important? Because in WeGate community, we believe and we start with a positive vision. So briefly, I will share what are the functionalities of our platform, how you can shape and use all of it, and as well, after that, I will go on further on the activities that you can join us. Small facts about the women entrepreneurship. Did you know that women make up 52% of the total European population, but only 34.4% of the European Union self-employed and 30% of the startup entrepreneurs. This means that in 2012, only 29% of the active entrepreneurs were women in Europe. Many blame the low figures on the lack of confidence, fear of failure, but as well what we know for sure is that when establishing and running a business, women face lots of challenges like access to finance, information, business networks and training, and as well reconciling business and family. We know as a consortium that we cannot tackle all of this at the same time, but we want to make sure that women have all the possible support tools at their disposal. That's why we started implementing this. But probably many of you are now wondering what is actually the WeGate platform. It is an online platform that aims to support women entrepreneurs. So they, as I mentioned, to start, to build, and as well to grow their businesses. We are providing this through lots of discussions. We have e-learning activities, and of course, everything starts with sharing. So we take in consideration the experience sharing in a way of a good practice. WeGate is a place for discussion where mentoring, support teams, coaching, and access to finance is made, and it is available for all. It is a network that provides growing and diverse number of stakeholders engaged to support women entrepreneurs across Europe. More or less, when it comes up for supporting and promoting women economic empowerment and women entrepreneurship, this is a one-stop shop for women. It means that we accept all of the ages who wants to start, run, and grow a business. It was launched in September 2016, and it continued to provide information and links on access to training, mentoring advices, and business network opportunities. What is really characteristic for our platform is that it's not concerned and taken in consideration as a platform, but more as a developing a European women entrepreneurship community of practice, which means that yes, we are implementing lots of activities through the platform, but we are trying to make it the connection with the community, while we complement, build on the past, current, and already implemented initiatives in this area, where we engage more stakeholders, which are active, in supporting women entrepreneurs rather than women entrepreneurs themselves, with the emphasis on face-to-face exchanging, networking, and online connections. Many times we are asking what are the needs, what we do for the women entrepreneurs and how we can support them. We know that women entrepreneurs still face a number of challenges when they're scaling in their businesses, as I mentioned before, including lack of access to finance due to the cultural attitudes and local conditions, and other factors such as the lack of autonomy, business skills, and mentorship. That's why when you search on our platform, you will find that we are here for you if you're planning to start your own business today. We are here to grow, to help you into the growth of successful businesses on your way, and we are here to support you, all the women entrepreneurs in Europe, and as well the ones that are interested in joining us. How we are doing this? If you're planning to start a business, you will find on our platform information about the rights, opportunities that the women setting up a business in any EU countries are needing, and any links to the website and portals. In a way that you need, when you started your business, you need financing and funding. We have an overview of EU and national funding programs, where you will find shared information about who to contact for your business and getting information like grants, loans, and guarantees. We give and provide legal information, which means that you will find websites and platforms that gather together and summarize the regulations, directives, and decisions you need to know when you're starting up. We are open with a market access and operation, where we share information on exporting, importing, on standardization and environmental labeling. When it comes about grow, you can see that we can provide with many different kinds of services. I will try to be brief and short, but as well, when visiting our website, you can really register easily. I will talk about it later, and you will be possible to share, to see, and to use our services. When it comes about the grow or growing your businesses, by hiring more staff or going digital, developing new products, or simply expanding within the EU, we have a section that can give you all information on how to expand with the European single market. Internationalization and expansion assistance, you will find EU websites on how to do business in specific countries abroad, and as well lots of help desks around the world. About the business partnerships, we are providing you information about finding partners, including information on business clusters, and as well we are organizing different kinds of networking events. Staff and posting partnership information, where you can find the right people and what legislation must comply with. About financing and funding, we can provide you with websites and platforms that are gathering and summarizing all the regulation, directives, and decisions you need to know when expanding abroad or when you are starting and hiring your staff. You need a financial boost for research or development and innovation to expand abroad by accessing international markets, or you're planning to export the branch in another country. The information can be found as well here. And if you want to protect your ideas on which initiatives support research and innovation, you will get inspired, or you can get inspired by another initiative businesses to grow and further develop on your own. We are supporting women entrepreneurs by growing our WeGate community. So we are seeing this as a two-way platform, not only that we share information, what we are doing, but as well taking in consideration what everyone else in the women entrepreneurs ecosystem is doing. So we are trying to support with the information on one place, taking it virtually as one hub, where with one click you can get and shape all of the information. That's why when we are talking about the Women Entrepreneurship website, you can find the national, EU, and international websites that are dedicated to the entrepreneurs. We have a policy resources where you can gather and summarize the regulations, directives, decisions, resolutions, recommendations, and opinions that promote and support female entrepreneurship. And as well, what is really important, it is the good practices. We believe that all of us can learn and share from each other. That's why for us it is really important, if someone is doing something or it is really good in some kind of the field that they are implementing, we take this as a really good practice, and we encourage the people to fill in an application and to share it with us, because we are addressing in this way the different challenges in the redevelopment. And we are ranging from policy development, promotion of women entrepreneurship, capacity building through services for women entrepreneurs, to intra-organizational tools for improved operational performance. I will talk about more later on about in which kind of activities you can join. About the advice and mentoring, we can always provide you with some support in the field according to the country where you live. Our platform is very good about providing sources about the learning process. So you can find lots of e-learning resources in a way of a training, tools like quizzes, online courses, or training material, training programs and organization, where you can find which programs is relevant for the course that you're searching for, mentoring and coaching, working with somebody who has intimated knowledge of how business work in a beneficial at many levels, and as well mentors that can provide advice, answers on your questions and helping you with the situation that you are caught in. As well, we're providing other websites and webinars, which means that you can attend the courses in the comfort of your own home at any time. What is really important for us, the stakeholders, we are really working on building our WeGate community. As I mentioned here, we are gathering all the women entrepreneurs, all the organizations, institutions, and all the persons that are involved in the women entrepreneurship ecosystem, which means that our WeGate community is the European Women Entrepreneurship Community of Practice, focusing on engaging a growing and diverse numbers of stakeholders that are supporting women entrepreneurs across Europe. What is characteristic for this community? It is that we aim to mobilize the women entrepreneurship ecosystem in order to jointly represent better the interests of aspiring and existing women entrepreneurs, becoming a recognized social partner to the European Commission in the WE-related public policies processes. We think that within the WeGate community, we can act as a voice. We can raise all of the problems that the women entrepreneurs are facing and as well support them in their further things. Now I will talk more about what are the activities that are coming up, so you can feel free to join us, and I will mention some of them because I think that into internationalization and into building a network, those features can be found and can be useful for some of you that are still doubting in starting the business or you're already implementing your business. We're implementing at this moment the WeBarometer study. It is a study that is going to help us and support based on the survey that we are doing with the women entrepreneurs to calculate the current situation that is going to be later on shared and measured again, just in a way to see how we can support and how we can help in this field. For us, it is really important, the platform, and for me, it is a pleasure to announce that soon we're going to have the rebranding of the platform. So when you go on the WeGate platform, you can feel free to register as a women entrepreneur or as an organization, and then you can feel free to use our WeGate community forum. We're going to have online companion, which is called Ask Anna. So you can feel free to totally write to Anna and refer to the questions that you want to know more or you want to explore or you have an idea that you want to share with us. We have the WeGate blog, and here are the good practices that I mentioned a couple of minutes ago. Good practices, we encourage everyone. We've heard today that there are lots of things that are going on, that are a lot of things that are changing the community on a daily level. So we really want to shape and to get closer to the ideas that the organizations or the institutions are having. So we think that with the good practice, we can go further and explore in details about some kind of activity that is happening or a project or something useful that was done, and we can promote it through our webinars or as well through our good practices, peer learning study visit practices that we're gonna have soon. How we are engaging with the community, we have our newsletters because we believe that sharing and spreading the information in a kind of way of promotion helps the most. That's why we're using as well social media in a way to engage with our targets. What we can promise to you are the matchmaking sessions that are going to happen in our annual summits. So for more information, you can follow our website where we're going to post constantly the events when they're happening, when they're taking place, so you can join us. And as well during matchmaking sessions, during the WeGate peer learning study visits, we are organizing lots of peer learning webinars and as well access to finance webinars. The peer learning webinars will be based on the best practice, good practices that are going to be shared, and as well on the topics that are connected with the women entrepreneurship and something that is concerning and we wanted to tackle in a way to support and help women entrepreneurs. Of course, we're going to have as well Women Entrepreneur of the Year award in a way to motivate all of our target groups. Now I'm coming to the end of my presentation. So we always say that the question isn't who's going to let me, it's who's going to stop me. So that's why in Aggregate community, we truly believe that we should learn from each other, we should support each other, and we should try to make the first steps, because when you get into the networking, you start getting really easily into the internationalization, and then the things are getting much easier for you. So if you want, you can feel free to ask more questions, or you can write to me later on. I will finish this with act as if what makes a difference, because believe me, it really does. Thank you.
Thank you, Emilia, for the great presentation. I think that Vigate is really becoming an important instrument for tackling women entrepreneur needs and becoming a really important stakeholder for lobbying and advocacy of policy of European level. Today, the last presentation will be by me. Let me just share my screen. Do you see it? Can someone from the panelists confirm me that can see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, confirm.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So today's last presentation will be about also internationalization of small and medium-sized enterprises, an important instrument by the European Commission that I think it is really important nowadays in these really unstable times, that provides free service to companies that really want to grow and explore new markets. Just one key facts about Enterprise Europe Network is that it is the world's largest support network that supports startups, small and medium-sized companies that have international ambitions for internationalization and for partnerships. It is the key instrument of the EU's strategy to boost growth and jobs. It started to work in February 2008, and it is co-financed by two large EU funding programs, COSME and Horizon 2020, with a total funding of over 180 million euro. Enterprise Europe Network services are offered by more than 3,000 local experts, which work in more than 600 locations, or the Enterprise Europe Network branches and offices are present in more than 60 countries worldwide. This next slide are some of the logos of the organizations that are included in the Enterprise Europe Network. So you may recognize some of these organizations from your country. So the most important thing is what are the services of the Enterprise Europe Network. And these are divided into three main groups, which are international partnerships, advisory support, and innovation support. As part of the first group of services offered in the international partnerships is the partnership database, the organization of brokerage events, and the organization of company missions. Brokerage events and company missions are really important instrument of the Enterprise Europe Network. These are events that are organized on a regular basis, and they provide an opportunity for companies to meet fellow potential partners from other countries and to conclude an international partnerships. Whereas the Partnership Opportunities Database contains thousands of company profiles that allows companies to post a profile of their needs and their requests in order to be able to find a perfect match, or in order to be able to find an international partner for their business. For example, as part of this group of services, I will present one success story. we have a Swedish company that has developed a solution which is called Green Box. It's a monitoring device which reduces the energy needed to power lights and helps to save money. It participates in a network company mission for energy saving and green technologies, and as a result, it forms a partnership with a Lithuanian company, and they both create a joint venture in Lithuania to license the Swedish company technology in the Baltic markets. This slide represents the advisory support services, which are comprised of several key services, such as practical advice on doing business in another country, identifying the best market opportunities for the business abroad, information on EU laws and standards, advice on intellectual property, and facilitating SME feedback on EU rules. For example, we have a Polish small company which works in the construction sector that wants to compete for public procurement projects in neighboring Germany. It participates in an organized, specialized training on procedures and certifications. And the success of the company is that it became the first Polish company which has been certified in Germany. Another group of services offered by the EIN are the innovation support services, which include advice and help for innovative companies to access research and innovation funding through Horizon 2020 SME instrument, Eurostars, Eureka, and other EU funding programs. Key account management services for SME instrument beneficiaries, personalized support to help shape innovation potential into international commercial success, help in finding the right technology to improve the innovation, and help in finding finance a company needs to grow. For example, we have an Italian startup company which has developed green technology to treat polluted or seawater using solar energy. The network organized a high-level institutional delegation in Portugal to raise its profile and meet other companies working in international markets. And the Italian company teams up with a Spanish research center with complementary expertise, and they both succeeded to enhance the technology, which has won multiple awards. The next couple of slides that I am going to present are some key statistics about the Enterprise Europe Network and its operation from the period since 2008 and 2014. A survey which has been performed showed that 85% of the SMEs which have received some service from the Enterprise Europe Network have had a positive experience or the satisfaction from the services which they have received. And on average, SMEs, they received some service from the Enterprise Europe Network tend to grow much higher than those who haven't received any support from the EIN by 3%. In the period since 2008 and 2014, 11,000 companies have signed business, technology, or research partnerships. More than 80,000 companies have attended international brokerage events and company missions. 1.7 million people have participated in events organized by the Enterprise Europe Network. And each year, more than 70,000 business meetings have been accomplished on a global scale. Moreover, 13,000 business connections with companies outside the EU have been managed since its establishment. 10,000 technology and business offers and requests are available in the Partnership Opportunities database of the Enterprise Europe Network. And 7,000 SMEs are connecting every month. Enterprise Europe Network is offering these services that I have mentioned previously in all key sectors, which are identified, including agro-food, creative industries, environment, tourism, textile, ICT, and so on. So a company that works in these sectors can also approach Enterprise Europe Network and receive the services of the network, which are free of charge for the companies, which is very important to highlight. And now I will try to present two videos from companies which have succeeded to to grow. So I really hope that you will be able to. Can someone confirm that you can see and listen to the video?
I can see the video.
Okay.
Constructs buildings with prefabricated elements and modules using timber. At some point, we wanted to start producing also bigger, larger projects, and for that, we needed to find business partners.
Timbako Woodhouse was looking for a way to enter Swedish market. We contacted Enterprise Europe Network Sweden to help us organize the matchmaking event in Sweden and find the proper companies to match our Estonian companies.
The advantage of Enterprise Europe Network is that they speak. They know the local situation. We won, first of all, the procurement of the nursing home in Falun, Sweden, and the next year also a preschool procurement in Sweden. Timbako has been growing over 20% each year in terms of number of workers and in revenue. The cooperation that we have had in Sweden has played quite a big role in that.
Okay, there was another video, but this was basically one testimonial from one company which have benefited from the services of the Enterprise Europe Network. With this presentation, we finished today's virtual conference for the BalkanMed INNOVA project. And I would like to ask the participants whether someone has any question or comment regarding of the presentations that were today. Okay, maybe some of our panelists or partner organizations in the project would like to say some final words, and I think that we can continue to close this first session for today.
Alexander, I would like to thank you very much for the organization of the event. I think that the presentations were quite good and informative and were beneficial to the SMEs that were participating. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marin. Okay, so today's first session has been recorded. And so to all participants that are part of this first day, we will share with you the recording and also the PowerPoint presentations from all panelists for today. And I would like to invite you tomorrow. We start again at 10 a.m. As Professor Stilios has mentioned at the beginning of this first day. Tomorrow we will have the presentation of the grantees or the winners of the business plan competition in all countries. They are going to present their business idea, with which they have won grant to start their own business. So tomorrow we start at 10 a.m. if you want to listen and to be inspired by these success stories from the region. So thank you very much for your participation today, and hopefully we will see each other tomorrow and we'll be in touch for any further cooperation.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Alex.
Thank you, Alexander. Thank you.
For tomorrow, it's going to be quite interesting tomorrow.
Yes, I really hope so. Yes.
I believe so.
Yes.
Thank you.
Truly believe. Bye-bye, Alexander. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Everybody.
Bye to everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.